What do you tend to focus on when you're feeling really happy? What if you focused on something, if you wanted to feel happy right now, what could you focus on? What are you grateful for in your life? What are you excited about? Who do you love? Who loves you? Do you know you can change your feeling that fast just by changing your focus and your body? If you change your focus long enough, your body will change. But I always say physiology first. Change your body, it's even easier to change your focus. And then there's the words you use habitually. Some people use words that piss them off all the time. Some people use words that make them explosive. Some people use words that lower the intensity. So these three tools, I call it the triad, or the three molders of meaning, because how you feel, that state in the middle, is based on the meaning. And the meaning is going to be different based on how you're using your body, based on what you're focusing on, and based on the words that you use. Does that make sense? Now, listen, I teach this to people where it's not quickie like this, where we do it again and again until you get masterful. You can change any state you want, and you're wired to do it. But if you're going to actually follow through, there's two more pieces. Remember, I called it 5 to thrive. And you'll see why I brought up the word identity to start with. So let's put a circle around that triangle. And what are the two things that determine whether or not you're willing to change your physiology? Like, I don't know, some of you may have been in one of my seminars before and you've learned to do this and you go home and you're so happy. And after about a month, something happens and you're pissed off and somebody goes, why don't you change your physiology? And you go, I'll change your physiology, right? That's a different thing, right? But the truth of the matter is, whether you can know these skills and not use them. If you're going to use them, you need two things. And one of these is missing for most people in the midst of COVID. And it's really critical. You're only going to use your abilities if you think it's going to matter or make a difference. And so we all need at the top of the circle what I call a compelling future. A compelling future. That's the reason to use your skills, to change your state, to do what's necessary, to push through the challenge. That's why you need some really exciting goals. Remember I said yesterday, when people say they're lazy, I said, no, there are no lazy people. They're just people with infinite goals that don't inspire them, goals that don't move them. Now, in the middle of COVID, people don't have goals. They're goals like, will we ever get out of the house? Will I ever get to go to a restaurant again or to a live concert? And so what's happened is your goals affect you, whatever they are. If they're painful, if they're boring, if they're not inspiring, you're not inspired. How many know what I'm talking about right now? Say aye if you get it. Say aye. Perfect. So now, think of this. We need a compelling future. But right now, if John F. Kennedy was here, he's like, he's going to inspire you. He's going to say, listen, here, we're going to put a man on the moon within this decade and return him to the earth safely. And people at NASA's like, there's no way to do this. We can't do this shit. He's crazy. But that's what a leader does. He created a compelling future, and then they found the way. But today, if you ask leaders, what's the compelling future? In most countries, what is it? To get back to normal? And most of them aren't even talking about that. So no one's inspired. And then you keep people at home and you wonder why they're getting angry on both the left and on the right. It doesn't matter. Both sides are angry. They're tired of this stuff. There's no compelling future. Your job, my friends, listen to me now. Your job in life, the most important job, is to constantly create a compelling future.
Following your dreams is a lonely, solitary, scary, dangerous pursuit. You can't wait for somebody to think you can do it. And it's like, because they don't think you can do nothing they can't do. It's a lonely, scary, dangerous pursuit. And you got to be willing to risk everything to become that seed of what you believe is in there. You got to be fearless. You got to be relentless.
You start putting yourself in situations that suck, you'll find yourself. I'm big on being with yourself. I want to be forever proud of who I was as a man and change who I used to be. The liar, the insecure guy, the guy who can, whatever. I want to be proud. If I die now, if I die at 8, if I die at 90, 100, I'm going to look at myself and say, proud of myself. I believe in patience. I'm a patient dude. I can watch a piece of grass grow for 20 years because I know that it's just how you get somewhere in life. By being that monk-like mentality.
Your brain is divided into two halves, positive and negative, good and evil. It don't function on nothing else. Ain't no neutral ground in your brain. It's either positive and good or negative and evil. Each half of your brain has millions of factory workers on each side. You got 1 million factory workers on the positive side. You got 1 million factory workers on the negative side. At the forefront of each one of those factories in your brain is a foreman. You got foreman positive and you got foreman negative. You are in charge. You're the boss of the factory.
Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you develop. People are often asking me, how do you develop an above-average income? And the answer is, become an above-average person. Develop an above-average handshake. Some people want to be successful, and they don't even work on their handshake. As easy as that would be to get started on. They let it slide. They don't understand. Develop an above-average smile. Develop an above-average intelligence. Develop an above-average interest in other people. Develop an above-average intensity to win. See, that will change everything.
When you live guilty and condemned, feeling wrong on the inside, it only makes you do worse. It takes a mature attitude to say, I am happy with who I am. I know I'm improving, so I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to enjoy where I am while I'm in the process of being changed.
I'd say the number one common thread of anybody that I work with is successful. Financial, athletes, people in politics, it's hunger. You know, you and I both know intelligence is a pretty damn valuable tool, but there are a lot of very smart people who can't fight their way out of a paper bag. And then when you find somebody who has that hunger, the hunger that doesn't go away, that hunger to be more, to do more, to give more, that hunger that never ends, that's how you get these people that are the best in the world at whatever they do. And so if you can, I think everybody has that hunger, but for some people, it's been asleep for a long time because they're afraid. They're afraid that I'm gonna get hungry, I'm gonna try, I'm gonna fail. And so it's human nature to protect yourself from the fear by just lowering your expectations. But one of the things I've learned is you get what you tolerate. You get what you tolerate in yourself, you get what you tolerate in your life, and sooner or later, we sometimes hit a point where we say, not another day, not another hour, this is done. I'm not walking this way, I'm not talking this way, I'm not living this way, I'm not gonna be in this relationship anymore, I'm gonna change it. And when people do that, that's the beginning of a breakthrough.
I want to talk to you about consciously designing your life. It's an idea that I see you live day in and day out.
Thank you.
Everything in your world seems completely integrated. The people that you hang out with, the things that you do to have the energy, the things you focus on to make sure that you remain excited, like it all feels like there's nothing that's sort of by accident in your life. So what's the whole concept and how do you actually pull it off?
You know, I think I talked about this last time a little bit about my car accident. So when I was a 19-year-old kid, I had this car accident, and prior to the car accident, I had been suicidal. And, coming out of a breakup with the woman I loved, I lost my identity in that, became suicidal, had the car accident, and it was just powerful juxtaposition because here I am suicidal, want to take my life, and then I get an accident that says, oh no, I don't want to die. And it forced me to consider how I will evaluate my life at the end of my life. And that has always been the driving force for me is I realized at the end of my life, for me personally, I'm going to ask these questions to evaluate, was I happy with my life? And those for me are, did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? Which isn't, for some people are watching like, so what? But I was 19 and it's set in me. And so if you think about it, that was 23 years ago? If you wake up every day with a super clear intention and reverence for life, realizing how short it is, you absolutely get your act together.
But how do you really turn that into a roadmap and start doing the right things? Because one, I think a lot of people could waste a moment like that, the eye-opening thing. A lot of people could do it for a while, and then without concrete things to do on a daily basis. Like, what I really want people to understand in all the research that you've done on high performance and all of that, it comes down to things that you can do. It comes down to things that you can teach. It comes down to things that people can structure their life around. And what I want to dive into today is that structure.
Yeah, you know what's funny is, like, I think you nailed it. People take an eye-opening experience and some don't do anything with it, and some people grow from it. And I came back from that experience, I was in college, and prior to coming back, I was the depressed kid, the sad kid, kind of the lonely kid, kind of the pull away from the world kid because I was hurt. I came back and I had this new intention to live. So I wanted to meet people and talk to people, and they're like, who are you? And anytime you change your life, usually people are like, what's wrong with you? So everyone's like, what's wrong with you? But I was like, I'm gonna change. Because I knew I didn't want misery anymore. I didn't want suffering. I didn't want sadness. I didn't want negative thinking. I didn't want poor quality of relationships. I didn't want to feel horrible. So I began the quest of, well, how do I not feel horrible? So I started reading, first I started personal development, self-help, then jumped into spirituality, then jumped into psychology, then jumped into neuroscience, then jumped into sociology, then jumped into leadership, and spent every week for 23 years, I've read a book a week on one of those topics for 23 years.